Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another video. If you are new here, hello, my name is Abigail May. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 4 or 5 different easy dinner recipes that you can make weekly for you or your family. Whether you are a family of 3, 4, or you're just 2, that is perfectly okay. If you want to see more baking and cooking content, go follow me on Instagram. I share a lot more of the behind the scenes and different stuff like that over there. But let's get into our first dinner. For this first dinner, you are going to need a crock pot because we are going to be making a slow cooker cowboy casserole. Although it's not really a casserole because you don't bake it in the oven, but you're going to start with your crock pot. You're going to add in 1 can of cream of mushroom soup condensed. I just got mine from Aldi. Then you're going to add in a 14.5 ounce can of diced tomatoes and a same amount of kidney beans. And then you're going to add in 1 whole bag of frozen sweet corn specifically. Again, I just got mine from Aldi, and you just pour the whole thing in. Now, when a recipe measures something, I typically don't measure, but you're just going to add in some chili powder, some salt, and some pepper. So I would say about a teaspoon of chili powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Then you're going to grab potatoes like these ones, small little tiny ones, and you're going to cut them into quarters. And once you do that, you just add the entire bag of potatoes into the crock pot. Alright, now let's get started on our meat. All you're going to need is salt, pepper, 1 pound of ground beef, and some garlic. So I'm just heating up my cast iron skillet, and I'm going to put a little oil on there and put my beef on there, season the beef, and then add the garlic and make sure it is thoroughly cooked through. And once it is, I will put it in my crock pot. Once I've added it to my crock pot, I will either put it on low for 6 to 8 hours or high between 3 and 5 hours, or 2 and 5 hours actually. That's how I would do it. So if you want to get it started, before you go to work, then put it on low. But if you get it started around 2, 3, or 4, then put it on high. And I almost forgot, you're going to add a 1/2 cup of milk to this recipe, and make sure you just thoroughly stir everything together before you put the lid on top and you don't see it for a few hours. Once you're about 30 minutes away from dinner time, add in a 1/2 cup to a cup of shredded cheese. It can be any shredded cheese that you like. I prefer taco style shredded cheese. Once you've done that, it is all ready to eat. And this has just been a recent favorite of my husband and I's. Alright, for this next recipe, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. All you're going to need for this recipe is rice, chicken breast, either 1 or 2, it's up to you. You're going to need bell peppers. We do 3 tri-colored bell peppers, pineapple, and lastly, barbecue sauce. And this is probably the easiest recipe out of all of these things. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to cut up your bell peppers by also taking out the kind of core of them with all the seeds. You can cut these up however you want to. I just cut them into long spears, and then I cut them in half and threw them into this bowl that I have. Once your bell peppers are all cut, you're going to start cutting up the chicken. Again, you can cut these into long strips, you can cut these into cubes. I prefer cutting them into cubes, and so that is essentially what I did, is I cut them up to cubes, threw them into that big wooden bowl that you see in the back. Now that you have your chicken and bell peppers in a bowl, you're going to drizzle them with olive oil and just coat them in some salt and pepper, and then you're going to mix that up until all the salt and the pepper is thoroughly combined with the bell peppers and everything. And then you want to get started with your rice. So we have this rice maker that we got as a wedding present from Gentry's mom, and so we're just gonna fill that up with some rice. We do 2 cups of rice, 2 cups of water, not actual like cups. There's like a plastic cup in our container that we use, and then we just get that started. It takes about the same amount of time as the chicken does to bake. Now this is the part that I don't measure. You're just going to take your Hawaiian barbecue sauce and you're just going to squirt that all over your chicken and your bell peppers. Put as much as you want or as little as you want. It's totally up to you. I'm pretty sure the actual recipe says half cup. I just honestly just squirt it on there and see based on what I can see in front of me. And then you're just gonna put all of that chicken onto your sheet pan. I lined my sheet pan with foil. Obviously you don't have to do that, it's just something I want to do. And then you're gonna spread that out very evenly so that it's not all clumped together. And then you are gonna pop it in the oven for about 20 minutes to bake. While that's baking, you're gonna get out your pineapple. I get pineapple spears from Aldi, and then I just like cut those into little triangles, and you're gonna leave this in there and leave it on your counter, because what you're gonna do is after this 20 minutes you're gonna spread the pineapple all across the sheet pan and then bake it for another 10 to 20 minutes. After adding the pineapple and baking it for another 20 minutes, here is the result. Alright friends, for the third dinner recipe, you're going to need your crock pot, because what you're going to do is you're going to put either 1 or 2 chicken breasts in the crock pot, and you're going to put 1 to 2 cups of either chicken broth or water in there, and you're gonna let that sit for either 8 hours on low or 2 to 3 hours on high, because we're gonna need some shredded chicken. We are making chicken pot pie. After those 8 hours or those 2 to 3 hours, you're going to shred the chicken and set it aside. Preheat your oven to 425. That is what we're going to be baking at. And then you are going to grab that shredded chicken, because you are going to need it, and you're going to need a big old pot. You're going to melt 1/3 cup of butter into this pot, and then you are going to add 1/3 cup of flour. What this is going to do is this is going to really thicken the sauce, and so you want to make it like a thick, almost paste-like texture. Then you're gonna add in 2 cups of chicken broth, and as you are pouring that in, you are just stirring and whisking away, because you really want the sauce to become thick. If it's not thick at first, that is perfectly okay, because it's gonna take some time as everything heats up. Next, you're going to take about a half a cup of heavy cream and just pour that into the mixture as well. Keep stirring. If it's not thick or doesn't like get thick, take a little bit of that broth out, add a little bit of flour, mix it in there, and then add it back into the sauce, and it should become thick from that point. Once it's thick, you're gonna add 1 bag of frozen mixed veggies. Again, I just use the Aldi brand, and you're just going to mix them in there like normal. And then you're gonna add all of your shredded chicken. Not gonna lie, I think I had way too much chicken in there, but that's perfectly okay. Gentry and I like our meals to be high protein, so you're just going to mix that all in. Once it's mixed in, take it off the heat. So here's where you're going to need your pie crust, and I would take this out at the very beginning. We use the refrigerated kind, and if you don't take it out early enough, it can be really hard to open up. But you're either going to get a glass pie dish or a cast iron pan/skillet if you have one of those. And you're going to put your pie crust on your glass or skillet. Once you've got your pie crust in the glass dish, you're gonna start putting your chicken and veggie mixture in there, and you can just pile this as high as you want or as little as you want. It's really up to you. I actually ended up having more left over that I couldn't fit in this baking dish, so I just popped it in a reusable tub, threw it back in the fridge because I knew that Gentry or myself would eat it later. Once you put the second pie crust on top, you're gonna throw that in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes, just depending on how long it takes your pie to bake. I put mine in for like 35, and after that it is ready, and it tastes so good. It is one of our favorite dishes. It is so warming and great on those cold days. Okay friends, brace yourselves for this recipe. I felt like this recipe was the most time consuming out of all of them in terms of preparation and all the things. And you can absolutely make this in like a crock pot, but I decided to make stew on the stove. So you're going to start off with 2 stalks of celery, and you're just going to cut those up like across the way, like so they're little like U or V shapes. Next, you're going to take 3 of the long carrots, not the short carrots you get in the bag that you eat with ranch, these long ones, and you're going to first of all take the skin off of them and cut off both ends, and then you are going to cut them like normal. You can either cut them into really big chunks or into thinly sliced chunks. It's really up to you. And lastly, you're going to get these little potatoes and cut them into quarters. Now you can cut the skin off if you don't want that, but the skin is not going to hurt you, so I did not cut it off. And you just cut these into quarters. I did almost the whole bag. I left a few potatoes out, but I know the recipe calls for a pound of potatoes, and the bag I have is 1.5 pounds. But either way, you can do the whole bag, half the bag, only a few potatoes. It's really up to you. Once you're done cutting your veggies, you are going to put in a little bowl some paprika, salt, and pepper. I would do like, I don't know, a teaspoon of salt, a quarter teaspoon of pepper, and maybe like half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of paprika. Then you're going to add a third a cup of flour, and you're going to mix this together until it's thoroughly combined. I just want to say I'm sorry if this bothers you that I don't have measurements, but you're going to do a lot of oil into a big pot like this, or you can use like a stainless steel pot, up to you. And then you're going to do a big old glob of butter. Again, I said I'm sorry that I did not measure this out. I just kind of do what I think looks good. So that is what I did. And then what you're going to do is you're going to coat your stew chunks in that flour mixture. Now don't be like me and do them one at a time. I felt like that was a terrible mistake. Instead, put them all in a bowl that has a lid, or you can do a bowl and a plate, and like literally shake that bad boy, because it'll make the process so much faster than, doing one chunk at a time, if that makes sense. So please do it the way that I just mentioned and not one at a time if you can. In my head, I was thinking there has to be a better way and a quicker way of doing this, so I just grabbed a small salad plate from up above and decided to shake that bad boy. And then you're going to let the meat brown on all sides, so just continually go and check to see if your meat is browning. I put my stove on medium heat, so between the 4 and the 6, if that helps you. And I just let the oil do its thing. Once your meat has completely browned, set that aside. It's okay if the bottom of your pot looks like this. That is perfectly okay. You're going to do about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of garlic. Now I love garlic, so I added the extra tablespoon. And you're going to mix in your veggies minus the potatoes. Do not add the potatoes. So just the celery and the carrots. You're going to saute them until they are soft and caramelized. Once they have been caramelized and they are all mixed in, you're going to add in your potato chunks that you had set aside. And then you're going to add in 3 cups of beef broth. You could probably do bone broth too if you really wanted to. I know that that's really good for you. So you can do 3 cups of that. Then you're going to do 1 tablespoon of, I can't even say this word, I don't even want to say it, Worcestershire sauce. Anyways, some of that. And then you're going to do a 1/4 cup of tomato paste and mix that all in. And you're going to want to bring all of that to a boil. Once it's been brought to a boil, you're going to throw back in your meat, put it on low, and put the lid on it. And you're going to let it sit there for an hour. Now this is the part where you get to be hands off. You get to go do whatever you want, but you just leave that there for 1 hour. Once your stew has been cooking for about an hour, you're going to mix together in a separate bowl 2 tablespoons of flour and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And you're just going to mix this together, and it's going to create a really thick paste. You're then going to add this mixture into your stew and stir it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's going to help the soup to become a little bit more thick. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed all these recipes and try them out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.